My mother-in-law ruined my wedding moment. She spilled wine on my dress right before the ceremony, all with a fake calculated smile. So where do I even start with this mess? My life feels like a reality show gone wrong. You know, the kind where the protagonist keeps tripping over her own feet. However, in my case, my feet are entangled in a whole lot of family drama. Okay, let me back up and set the scenario. I am Ava, 36, and I am married to Liam, the most amazing, frustrating, and completely loyal man in the world. Is there a catch? Liam is a soldier. He is now deployed. Again. And this time it seems like forever. The quiet in-between times is crucial, as it can feel like a giant tomb. Liam is brave and determined, and I admire him beyond words. The other day he unexpectedly called, offering a brief moment of connection before suggesting I connect with his mother Meredith. I was stunned. What are you talking about? My voice was definitely sharper than I intended when I asked. He groaned, exhausted. Meredith hasn't been herself since Dad's death. Her loneliness is extreme. For real, I am. We've all struggled with this deployment's isolation. Liam's words hit me hard. This deployment has been tough and I miss him so much it hurts. But then he proposed that Meredith and I might support each other more and spend time together. I was initially skeptical. Meredith and I? Close. We've always had a polite, distant, frigid relationship. But then I saw his point. We're both lonely and clutching on Liam. Considering becoming a buddy-buddy with my mother-in-law could help us both feel less alone. Sharing simple things could help us feel less alone. I'm considering reaching out to her, though it's scary. Oh honey, you won't believe what happened, I said, Liam desperately attempting to lighten the mood. Meredith was all I could think of. Our relationship has been tight since the wedding. I call it the wine incident. It started on my wedding day. Can you fathom the burden of planning everything? The endless matching military-style seating charts and flowers that threatened to bankrupt me. I struggled to be calm and not lose it. Knowing I was close. I tried to absorb those peaceful minutes before the wedding, you know. To realize I was marrying my dream man. Later, Meredith, my beautiful mother-in-law, decided to appear. She's good at pressing my buttons, very similar to a superpower. That day it was obvious. Her plan was obvious. She was determined to cause trouble. Everything was trivial and pointless. As I prepared to feel calm and excited, Meredith, with a mischievous smile, spilled an entire glass of red wine on my wedding dress. My white wedding dress. Can you imagine? She stained this enormous crimson stain over immaculate white silk. My existence felt like a slow-motion horror film. She blamed it on clumsy hands and being flustered because her baby boy was getting married, as if that made it okay. It was dreadful. My heart broke. It's still bothering me. The whole event felt planned. Honey, you wouldn't believe what happened. I just knew she did it on purpose. Her sly eye sparkle revealed her entirely. It was intentional, I'm sure. After that, everything changed. It was like someone had ripped a hole in our relationship, revealing all this tension I hadn't noticed before. It was simple and comfy. Now every time we saw each other was dreadful. Passive-aggressive whispers and barely veiled jabs were taxing. What were once light-hearted talks became tense, uncomfortable encounters full of underlying hatred. It was like walking on eggshells. I became exhausted and drained by the incessant negativity, leading me to withdraw. I felt no urge to resist or stoke the fire. You know how much I value Liam. He spoke about it with such pain that I couldn't ignore it. I had to change things. It hurt, but I had to mend it. Part of me didn't want to, so it was hard. It ached so fresh and raw. I tried because Liam was hurting. I couldn't let things stay broken, especially because his feelings were involved, even if it meant putting myself through it again. A leap of faith, honestly. Though I wasn't sure it would work, I owed it to him and maybe even myself. You won't believe this, honey. He told me about his intense training, weariness and dread in the army. My heart hurt for him. He'd been through so much and I wanted to help him in any way I could. It seemed like my duty. After years apart, I hoped Meredith had matured. I said, look, if it means that much to you, I'm definitely willing to try. I believe in supporting the people I care about, you know. He smiled. That's my girl. I know it might be tricky given everything that happened before, but maybe we'll find we have more in common than we remember. Yes. I'll go into it with an open mind, I promise. But I added, feeling irritated. If Meredith tries any of her wine-throwing shenanigans again, I'm going to have a serious conversation with her. Absolutely no more sabotage. I'm not putting up with that again. His chest rumbled as he laughed. Now let's do this for us, me and Meredith, he added, squeezing my hand. Thanks Ava. A little thank you meant everything. It felt fantastic to help him and leave my comfort zone. Naturally I have reservations, but seeing how much it means to him makes it all worthwhile. I hope, maybe even pray, this time will be different. Cross your fingers. I told him I'll make it right when I get back, truly meaning it. That weighty talk with Liam about his mother was heartfelt. It made me realize I needed to contact Meredith despite my fear. Our past wasn't exactly a series of memorable events. I tried for Liam and our family. Braced sent the message. Meredith, Liam mentioned you might like to get together sometime. Let me know if you're interested. Her response confirmed my fears. That passive-aggressive tone and well-crafted reply. Ugh. Ava, how kind of you. Liam did tell me to strive to be better. That single word hung in the air like a terrible stench. It felt like a cold rain on a hopeful summer day. Still, we started spending time together. It was excruciating at first. The tension was palpable, you could practically taste it. Every interaction was a minefield. Slowly though, things shifted. We started to find common ground, remembering old family stories, laughing about silly things we did as kids. It wasn't a sudden transformation, but it was bearable. The old Meredith whom I knew well resurfaced. It was subtle, almost imperceptible to others, with snide remarks and subtly undermining observations. I felt alone in noticing it, constantly on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It felt like one of those over-the-top high school movies, but it was my life and it was infuriating. I felt like she was doing it on purpose and it was slowly driving me mad. This awful situation lasted months and my frustration kept growing. I was tired of playing the nice girl, pretending everything was fine and smiling when inside I was screaming. The forced smiles and fake pleasantries felt hollow. I couldn't ignore the elephant in the room any longer, no matter how much I dreaded the confrontation. I finally had the courage to talk to Meredith one afternoon at her apartment, sipping tea that ironically tasted bitter, matching my mood. My heart was pounding like a drum solo as I tried to find the right words. It felt like forever before I could start. I frantically exclaimed, Meredith. I can't pretend anymore. I thought things were getting better, but these repeated digs and subtle barbs hurt me. She looked at me with her usual innocent expression, that perfect little mask of I have no idea what you're talking about. But this time I wasn't buying it. The carefully constructed facade felt flimsy and transparent, almost laughable. I knew I'd reached my limit and couldn't stomach it anymore. I knew this talk, however difficult, had to happen to get this off my chest regardless of the outcome. The quiet after I spoke felt heavy with unspoken words and tension. I took a big breath, annoyed, but then I was determined. I said, you understand. I'm exhausted from pretending. If we want to solve this, we must discuss it honestly. The situation quickly escalated with yelling and increasing tension. I half expected Mrs. Gable next door to call the police. I realized how much resentment had built up during all that shouting. It wasn't just about that stupid spilled wine on my wedding dress. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. It was years of little things, miscommunications and things left unsaid. Of course we stopped shouting, but the silence was suffocating. Everything seemed heavy, weighed down by what we'd said. I left Meredith that day feeling exhausted, like someone had sucked all my energy out of me, but I also felt free. It was like shedding a tremendous weight I'd been carrying for so long. My mother-in-law and I had a messy, raw emotional outburst that left me feeling jumbled and relieved. However, a deep sadness followed, leaving me clear-headed. Some hurts are too deep for tea and polite chit-chat to fix. After that screaming match, I sat in the living room exhausted and drained. All that constant tension, the endless little arguments, it felt like the walls of this huge house were closing in, suffocating me with memories and unresolved issues. The days turned into a blur and this crushing loneliness settled in everywhere. Liam still deployed miles and miles away, and the house feels even more desolate without him. It's a constant painful reminder of how much I miss him and how far we are apart. I'm exhausted from this constant emotional seesaw, so I started thinking about moving. I need a fresh start. It's not a decision yet, but the thought feels comforting, like an escape from this suffocating feeling. Moving to a smaller house felt like a weight was lifted off my shoulders. Yes, the money was a perk, but I genuinely wanted a simpler, snug, calm atmosphere. You know how it's been lately. I remember bringing it up with Liam on one of our video chats and being shocked how readily he appeared to agree. At that point I'd only talked about the finances and how much easier it would be. I didn't want to bother him with the turmoil. He added, honey, I can't shake this feeling that there's more to this, looking at me attentively like he was seeing through me. Another fight with Meredith? Does this move involve her? I breathed a tremendous sigh of relief and frustration, relieved that I didn't have to pretend and frustrated that I'd even had to fake it. Yeah, I informed him. It's partly because of her, Liam. I tried. I really did. I gave everything. But I stopped feeling like a failure. Despite my efforts, it seemed like hauling a boulder uphill, tiring and ultimately pointless. I need a fresh start, a room to breathe since she's so combative. Every conversation feels like walking on eggshells, a perpetual war. I'm exhausted. God bless Liam, he understood. He nodded with his kind empathic nod on the video conversation and said he knew I tried so hard. He replied, "Ava, if it's causing you this much stress, you need to put yourself first." That was a huge relief. Why does his mother dislike me? I don't understand. He claimed trying to talk to her is like hitting a brick wall. Obviously he loves me. He concluded if moving is what it takes to make you happy and give us some peace, then let's do it. Hearing those words lifted a big burden. Not running away but choosing to create a space where we could breathe. It was great to know he didn't blame me and understood. It wasn't just his support but his words. His point wasn't to lecture or guilt me, it was genuine understanding that makes you feel recognized and valued. I was encouraged that prioritizing my well-being was necessary, not selfish. I needed a location where I could thrive, not merely exist without anxiety. That conversation changed me. Talking to him gave me strength and purpose. Knowing I had his unconditional love and support encouraged me to face whatever came next. Moving wasn't a panacea, but it was a necessary step toward inner peace. Looking around our old living room, I dreamed of a new warm environment without bad memories or unsaid tensions. I needed that leap of faith to create a secure area where Liam and I could be ourselves, away from all the unpleasantness in our life, especially with Meredith. 3 months later, I'm situated in my new apartment. So stylish, so me. Leaving that old place with its heavy lingering unhappiness felt like shedding skin. I'll never forget this amazing feeling. My 36th birthday was approaching and I was excited. For my first birthday in my new house, I wanted it to be special. I usually left the apartment the night before to let my friends and family decorate as a surprise. But this year was different. My place was too small for a huge celebration. Instead, my closest friends were already celebrating early before our flight tomorrow, creating an intimate and fitting atmosphere for this new chapter. That brought calm joy, you know. Peaceful satisfaction in this quieter, more personal celebration. I wouldn't exchange this sensation. It seemed fitting to celebrate a new beginning calmly and joyfully. It was great for marking this new period of my life which finally felt mine. Imagine. We were jammed into my apartment, excited for our excursion. The air was full of laughter and pre-vacation enthusiasm. Everyone was excited then. Bam! The phone vibrated. Text from Meredith. Something about calling her quickly was urgent. My gut flipped. I couldn't ignore it. It seemed unusual to go from excitement to anxiety. I excused myself, claiming to retrieve something from my room, my heart racing. Closing the door, I called her. My phone holding hand shook. I said, "Meredith, what's wrong?" She had a biting voice. It punched me. She blasted me. "What the hell is wrong with you?" She shouted about my behavior and how she'd had enough. Wow, I was shocked. I was shocked. I mumbled, "Excuse me? What are you talking about?" I couldn't believe she was talking to me. I was shocked and hurt. It hurt a lot. The pre-trip enthusiasm was gone, replaced with a terrible knot in my gut and growing bewilderment and hurt. What happened to make her behave that way puzzled me. It was so unlike her. I needed to process this badly. I needed a minute just to breathe and figure out what to do next. What my problem seriously is that what this is all about? I couldn't believe her. It felt like she was attempting to divide me and my son. She sneered, "You're upset because I told him the truth." It was ridiculous. I asked, "What's up, Meredith? You're being unreasonable. I don't have the energy for this and I'm exhausted dealing with your negativity. Your unhappiness isn't my concern, just leave me alone. I need to enjoy this birthday weekend." She then dropped this unbelievable gut-wrenching bomb. She spoke with a mix of resentment and elation. "You won't enjoy your birthday this year. I warned you so. Consider it a preemptive strike." My pulse raced against my ribs as I mumbled, "What on earth you were talking about?" perplexed and terrified. The sheer audacity of it all was amazing. Was she actually this malicious? She smiled. A wicked, twisted look that sent shivers down my spine. So serene, her voice was almost unsettling. "After not receiving an invitation, I felt underappreciated, so I decided to make your birthday truly memorable. I couldn't wait any longer, so I went to your house and destroyed everything, the decorations, the beautiful new furniture, everything shattered." The words hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. A wave of nausea hit me. It was like a physical blow to my birthday, marred by her invasion of my privacy and malicious cruelty. Looking back, I should thank Meredith for their terrible decorating this year. It looked like a stranger had moved and it was that horrible that when she called and told me what she'd done my jaw dropped. Her grin was almost audible over the phone. I was speechless trying to picture it all, but she blurted out, "Surprise, happy birthday Ava, hope you're having a blast." And that's when I started laughing. It was such a shock that the absurdity of the whole situation hit me and I couldn't stop. I laughed so hard it threw her, yet I could hear her perplexity. She was serious and sure she'd offended me. She exclaimed, "Why are you laughing? You should be sobbing." I finally caught my breath to respond. "Meredith, you're such a goofball. You think you're so clever? You stunned me with your unexpected birthday gift, which was probably the greatest I could have wished for. Who needs a nicely adorned house when you can get this reaction right? It makes me laugh just thinking about it. The most amazing, crazy, outrageous surprise was precisely what I needed. Meredith, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I screamed, "You're despicable, absolutely despicable." I couldn't get over it. She was so easygoing at first. "What's that like?" "It was nothing." I told her it wasn't my house. "Meredith, did you think?" Wow, I was shocked. Totally speechless. It felt weird, like I was witnessing a crazy movie. I told her carefully as much as I could. I relocated 3 months ago and could hear her brain short-circuiting. Deafening silence followed. Then I realized how astonished she must have been. Sheriff Liam and his family now live in the house she broke into, making everything worse. We've only met twice, but you could tell he's the loveliest dude. You could tell he worked hard to prepare his kids. Just thinking about him and his family made my gut clench. It seemed so terrible. I think Meredith's initial amazement was turning into pure panic. I could hear her unsteady, strained voice. Like seeing a dam break. The weight of her actions was falling on her. It wasn't simply a house or vandalism. Her goal was the sheriff's home, the new sheriff who was just moving in with his family. Every trembling syllable I heard was carved with the understanding of her massive error and how devastating the ramifications could be. I heard her take a sudden shaky breath. She was starting to realize how much danger she'd gotten herself into. The terror in her voice was almost palpable. "Oh my God. Ava?" she muttered, her voice cracking. The words hung in the air, heavy with desperate panic. An odd laugh came to me.